I'd like to welcome you along to this second panel discussion of the day, which is centering around product development and innovation. I'd like to welcome the group of panelists here. We have Mohammed from the Senior Director of ANZ. It's good to see you again, my friend. Chris Kelly, good friend of mine, Director and Founder of Phoenix to Retail in the UK. And then we have Tegu from Foom Labs. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
I suppose we'll start off with product development. Mohammed, maybe I'll go to yourself first in relation to, obviously, ANZ have a new, very innovative product that just had come to the market. Maybe you can outline the product and I suppose the reasoning and the thinking behind bringing such a product to the market.
Yeah, thank you so much. Before we talk about the product itself, I think it is important to recognize that the product development in specific does not cover only vaping products, because people are only talking and focusing on the electronic side. So I think that it is important to understand that these products are a total category solution that can achieve harm reduction within the tobacco category. That's as number one. So this includes heated tobacco products, include patches and pouches and oral and smokeless tobacco, and vapes, which is the most popular form of using alternatives. So when ANZ starts, we started with a mission that we can one day provide better alternatives to smokers so they can quit smoking. Because most of the people that is working in this company are coming from a tobacco company and then multinational vaping companies. And now we are trying to bring in the best products that is accredited and verified. We launched in the UK a product called Session6, which is 99.2% recyclable or recoverable, which it's an attempt to sort out part of the problems that we have when it comes to the issue about the waste management by itself. I know that the product itself might not be perfect at the time, but we are growing there. And we are trying to bring in more and more products to the category itself. It took a lot of time, a lot of studies and research, until we could find out that we are confident enough to launch such a product that can be at least credible enough. And at the same time, it is a shout out for all the industry players to try to copy. I'm sure there is a lot of attempts there, but I think this is what brings in the credibility to the industry, by bringing in more product, more research. And I'm sure the gentleman here has a lot to share on that side, but I think it's an important step. We are very proud to have that in the UK, which is the most advanced country when it comes to tobacco harm reduction and vaping use.
Yeah, very good. Now, it is a very innovative product, and it's great to see somebody like yourselves and your company bringing out such a recyclable product, especially with all the issues that we have about sustainability at the moment. Chris, I suppose, same question to you. You're obviously dealing in numerous convenience stores in the UK. You know, I suppose from your viewpoint, you have your finger on the pulse. Is there anything you see coming, innovations? What do you see coming? Where do you see the next steps maybe?
Yeah, I think touching on Mohammed's point, we're a partner of the Session6 product in the UK. We've launched that product into one of the top grocers, Morrison's. And Mohammed's right, the market isn't there yet where everybody's asking for these products, but what it is very high on the agenda of is the retailers. What are we doing to improve the sustainability of the category? Because we've never seen growth like this in this industry. And nobody wants to limit the growth, but what we have to do as responsible sellers, brand owners, is bring products to market that hit those touch points, whether it be on innovation, sustainability and compliance. And if you work to those three pillars, you can continue to develop the growth within the category. Also looking at products that, on one hand, touch on the sustainability piece, but also then in the standard disposable product in the UK, we've launched a product with IVG, which is allowing a compliant product of 2,400 puffs. But that's being done using creative innovation to allow us to still cater to the market while focusing on reducing the waste of the products. And I think that those three pillars are going to be really critical to what moves the category forward over the next 12 to 18 months.
Super, Chris. Thanks for that. Tegu, I suppose, in your opinion, being the co-founder and CEO of Foom, where do you see innovation going? You know, do you see it really jumping ahead, or what's your view even for your company? What's the next
Sure.
innovation that's coming?
Sure. Thank you so much. To give a context, I'm from Indonesia. So basically, we are the largest Southeast Asia country with 80 million adult smoker population in our country. Now, vaping penetration is less than 2%. So we have a lot of room to improve in terms of to create product innovations. So we started Foam Lab Global 3 years ago, and then now we are becoming #1 electronic cigarette player in our market. To give a context, that we seeing that innovation is something that we align with Mohammed's point that we need to see in terms of the not only pointing about the sustainability, but as well as the compliance, and also the how we serve our customer better. Because in terms of the tobacco harm reductions, that might be aligned also with the big tobacco company nowadays in terms of the sustainability agenda. So we are thinking in Indonesia, we are slightly left behind what happened in the Middle East and also like a European country. But the thing is, the innovation is something that we need to address in terms of how we can serve adult smoker to for them to get a better alternative in using our product in Indonesian market. Especially in terms of we have a very specific regulations that now already up and running and regulated by Indonesian government in terms of the milliliters, in terms of the excess tax, as well as for the how the local player to be protected compared to the global player itself in Indonesia. But from coming from the perspective in our company in terms of the product innovation, we are seeing that it's understanding user behavior, especially for Indonesian market, is something that we see is a baseline, especially to serve the better alternative for the adult smoker in Indonesian market itself. Joe.
Yeah, very good. And I suppose just to stay on this topic a bit, Mohammed, I might ask you this. Do you think the onus is, obviously with disposables now being the biggest culprit of recyclable, do you think the onus is on the importers in the countries to create a better recycling plan, or do you think more of the onus should be on the manufacturers to make a product that's better recyclable like yourselves? Or is it a balance of both?
I think I always say that we have to keep the smokers first in the first circle. Think about how we can convince the smoker to have a product that is acceptable with the potential to reduce harm. This is the concept of public harm reduction. So we have to make sure that the product has an appeal and it's being used and accessible. And then we try to reduce the footprint. These collateral damages, I know a lot of people does not like this word, but it is a collateral damage. So we try to save lives of smokers. There will be some problems with these disruptive technology, waste management, child use, illicit trade, and then we try to solve these issues at the time. The striking issue is that when we announced the product, so we had a lot of discussions on LinkedIn. People were trying to come at us and ask the hard questions, and one of the guys said, I'm not sure until when people will put the lives of people over the environment. I said forever. That does not mean that I have to kill people to protect the environment, but doesn't have to go vice versa. But I cannot look at it from one side. The first thing I need to do is to save lives. That goes without saying. In the meantime, if these products are causing harm by themselves, then I'll try to manage the consequences coming from that. What I think is that banning and killing these products will only cause the relapse of smokers to go back to smoking, because it is the easier way, it is the cheapest way to smoke rather than going through the hustle. What I think is we should do as manufacturers and as regulators, that we should think about how we can put more measures to protect the environment, bring in better products. Testing is there, accreditation is there. So there is a lot of measures that you can do. But what is the biggest threat to the vaping industry? What is the biggest threat to innovation? Regulation.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, I had a session in the UK, and one of the journalists was saying, you are doing a normalization to tobacco, and you are normalizing the use of smoking. I said, no, governments are doing that. Because if you put more restrictions on vaping, then you will push people to smoke back. If you bring up more space to innovation by making preferential treatment to these products, then companies would have the space and the funding to bring in more products. But if you suppress it with fiscal structures and high taxation and stricter regulation, then companies will go to cheaper products and they will go to lower quality products. It's an equilibrium. It cannot work. It has to work both ways.
Chris, what's your view on that? Do you think the onus is on both, or do you think more should be done by the manufacturers themselves?
No, I fundamentally believe there's a collective responsibility from the manufacturer, the distributor, the brand owner, and the retailers. I think in an industry that is still a nascent industry in the grand scheme of things, what are we, 15 years old? We're still learning, we're still understanding, we're still developing, we're still innovating. By having improvements in the products that come into the country and making those more sustainable, having a solution that is in a retail environment for the consumer to be able to dispose of these products and recycle them, and then also working from a compliance and regulation perspective to make sure that the brands that are in market are following these principles. And further to that, I think the additional part of trying to find a way, with any type of sustainable model and recycling, is to find a way to incentivize the consumer to want to recycle. Everybody has an urge to do the right thing, but sometimes the path of least resistance is the easiest way to move. If we put an environment where we have a solution in as many distribution points as possible that a product can be recycled, we have a great platform and a recycling agency to recycle those products. And also at the same time, we're incentivizing the consumer to do that. I think we become self-regulating. My worry sometimes for the industry is if we don't work from a collective standpoint to introduce these methods to improve the sector, we will have tougher regulations put on us. It's a collective responsibility to make sure that we self-police ourselves and make these improvements as we move through the categories development.
Yeah, you're right. And I suppose, speaking from my own point of view, in the Irish market, you know, we only had a health bill passed last week, so it's actually only now illegal to sell to under 18s, believe it or not. But the day after the bill came out, there's now a public consultation to ban disposables on environmental levels, you know, which I find ridiculous. And touching on your point, Mohammed, is I spoke to the government before I came here, and they said, what do you think? Do we need to do more? Do we just ban them, or do we do a deposit return scheme, or what way do we do it? I said, well, if you ban disposables, all you're going to do is create illicit trade. That's all you're going to do. You're just going to create that unregulated, you know, non-compliant products. They're just going to flood in, because disposables are still everywhere else. You're just going to ban them in Ireland, you know. So I suppose moving on from that with product innovation, and Tegel, will come to you again in relation. Obviously, we discussed where innovation is and recyclable. You know, from your point of view with your business, how far do you think we can go with innovation? Where is it? What does the future look like, really, in your eyes?
Sure. I'm seeing that the innovation can bring us to the better life of adult smoker, and I'm seeing that building not only on the electronics point of view, that we are enter like a consumer electronic industry nowadays, that how we integrate, such as like how in terms of like a data, or how we can create like a platform technology, that we can see that this is the innovation that might be we need to push forward in terms of how we can easily to closer with our mission, that we can be the better helping the adult smoker to move away from the combustible smoking to the more responsible alternative. And then how the technology point of view is not, I'm saying that it's not only on the electronical part, but it has to be on the data, or in terms of the technology, how we can, we need to make sure how we need to protect with the nicotine daily intake consumption level in the more responsible way, and then how we also address in terms of the like underage usage. That is something not only happen for the just recently vaping industry, but also for the tobacco consumption, and then how the technology take a part and innovation take a part to address this kind of issue. That I'm seeing that this is something that we need to push forward, especially as a brand, that we have some responsibility to take care in terms of the compliant part as well.
Okay, very good. Chris, well, same question to you. If we look back, you're in the industry a long time. When we look back to the start, first product was a blister pack, e-cig, you know, the Cigalite product, and you look where we've come over the last 15 years. I suppose in your view, where do you think the next steps are? Where do you think we can go?
I think technology has to play a part in, look, the products all have the same delivery method at the moment. The product innovation is coming from design, look, feel. It's not coming using the technology, and that's to try and get an understanding and education into the platforms that can give us that access. So obviously we can have applications on an Android platform, but we can't on an iOS platform. Can we start to use data from these products to be able to drive consumer behaviour, understand how we take adult smokers on that journey, not just from combustible cigarettes to vaping, but also on their journey to exit the category. Ultimately, our goal here collectively is to take adult smokers away from nicotine products as a fundamental base of how we improve the health of the adult smoker. And I think by having that data ability, and some brands have tried that, they've launched apps, but they've never had that ease of access by being available on all platforms. Having the ability to reduce youth access on the products. I've seen some brands here that have the ability to turn the product on and off to be able to stop that. And I think developing on that the products could be accessed from an app-based solution to activate the products for use, again, to drive the innovation forward. And then I think also looking at alternative spaces, we talk a lot about disposables at the moment, and Mohammed touched on it at the beginning. How do we, in a growth area such as oral nicotine, which is still a relatively small category, how can we drive innovation to make that more accessible, more understood to adult smokers as another alternative to exit combustible cigarettes? I think, again, there's sometimes a bit of a gap between the manufacturer and what's happening in market, trying to get those two people closer, with the manufacturer spending more time in market and also the market specialist spending more time with the manufacturers in China, would help us create that innovation. I don't think what the category needs now is lots of new versions of the same product and have Me Too products, which is what we do have today. If everyone now steps back and focuses on how we innovate the category, and ultimately with one fundamental focus, how do we take adult smokers that are still relatively unaware of the benefits of vaping over combustible cigarettes, and that will drive the innovation by trying to focus on what really that adult smoker needs to find their route into the category.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I do. I think it needs to get there. Hopefully the innovation catches up. It's very hard to catch up with this market, as we know. Mohammed, I suppose, same question to you. Obviously, your company has many stands here, many innovative products. You know, you don't have to tell us your trade secrets or anything, but where do you see innovation taking us next?
I think the innovation will take the products outside of the ecosystem of having a device with liquid and coil and vaping into the attached systems. It will become a complete system. Like vending machines is part of the total solution. But if you come to countries in the Middle East, you'll find that vending machines have been banned under the Tobacco Acts. So today, if you want to provide a vending machine that has the probability to check your ID and dispense these products according to your age, you cannot use that because we are still treated as a tobacco product. So public health law deals with the e-cigarette, even the zero nicotine one, by the way, as a tobacco product. So I think the innovation will take this up to vending machines, mobile applications, and the monitoring system that will allow to solve a lot of problems. Examples are track and trace systems. It's an innovative way to make sure that these products are regulated, controlled, and they're paying their duties, which is very high, by the way. And then you talk about vending machines, and then you go about the monitoring system that comes from mobile applications. Mobile applications does not have to be a promotional way to promote vaping or to order it online, but it might be a way to control nicotine consumption or to do the age verification way. You cannot separate the age that we're living in I used to be a smoker. I smoked 2 packs a day, and then I moved into heated tobacco products. And then the first e-cigarette I used was this long, and you had to fill it in, and it used to have the oil spilling out of it. When you come to see, I quit everything today with the help of vaping. And when you come to see about the amount of technology and battery and size and delivery and flavor that people can use today, I think the sky is the limit. But the main focus is, like Chris said, drive adult smokers out of the conventional smoking side by trying to reduce more and more harm to become a zero risk. But because our advice to people is to quit nicotine altogether, but if you cannot use the better alternatives, I think technology will bring in a surprising, pleasant surprises in the coming future.
Yeah, hopefully sooner rather than later. Which brings me on to my next question. So we're after discussing new products and innovations. Mohammed, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to stick with you on this one for the start. If we look at the innovations we're talking about and new products that are coming, in your view, what innovations or what can happen that these products can be a benefit, say, to public health and to smoking cessation? You know, I'll give you an example, and you said it earlier on, vaping isn't the only answer. We had oral tobacco, heat not burn, even NRT, you know, the pouches. For me, it's a wide range. It's a toolbox with many different products in it. But you look at the likes of Sweden now. Sweden are going to be smoke-free this year, 17 years ahead of the EU target because of using various products. Obviously, snus is a big product there, heated tobacco, but vaping, they endorse vaping, and they're going to be under 5% of a smoking population this year, which is huge. So I suppose leading on to that, from that, the question is, these new products, what, in your view, where do you think these can benefit, say, public health?
First, you have to understand the problem itself. The problem itself, when you say that Sweden will go smoke-free, my home country, Jordan, will have 70% smoking incidence by the end of 2023. 70%. 7-0. The second largest smoking incidence in the world. The first country is Lebanon. Both of these countries had high taxation and very restrictive regulation against heated tobacco and vaping products. And still, nothing have worked so far to drive smokers from smoking. And when you talk to governments, they're just puzzled because they're just confused between the public health debate and I'll have to say this again, and the group of people that is going to meet in November somewhere to discuss how they can cut smoking while nobody there is a smoker and they don't know that smokers are addicts. And they're trying to say, let's ban, let's stop, let's do that, and this, but smokings are on the rises. By the use of nicotine alternatives, you have to understand that smokers are not sinners. They are patients. You have to deal with them this way. You have to ask them. They have to accept the product. These products have the viability. They have the possibility to reduce the harm if used with a proper behavioral attitude adjustment, if used with psychological support, and if used with the aim that you can quit smoking. It's like a diet. Exercise is not even enough without the proper diet. But you have to go within a comprehensive system. The regulator can make that happen through the access and the availability of these products to smokers, but at the same time, you have to be there. You have to walk them through, like what is happening in the UK. Having a plan to replace cigarettes with vaping products, the swap to stop, or the Khan reviews, or making smoking obsolete in 2030, we're looking at more deaths in Jordan, similar to the number of smokers by the time of 2030. These products have the availability, it has to be tested, regulated, prevented from reaching the children and minors, but they have to be there. Otherwise, I dare anyone to bring in a valid solution for the past 100 years, and I made the same challenge to governments here yesterday. Prove us wrong. Bring in the studies that says that these products are bad and they are worse than cigarettes, and we're willing to quit and move everybody else back to smoking cigarettes. Research is key.
Yeah, research is key, you're right. Chris, suppose from your viewpoint, new products, what do you feel, maybe from a UK point of view, in relation to new products or even existing products benefiting the public health and smoking cessation?
I think the products are just one part of that, and having a wide array of products accessible to adult smokers is critical. But I think, look, we have a very progressive public health view in the UK, which is really helpful. But I still think we're probably only half the way there, because we have a conflicted position when you look at it from a political standpoint. We have to remove the politics from these discussions and focus on, there is no bigger public health benefit to the UK, both from a health and an economy perspective, on the cost of adults, of smokers within the NHS, to move those people to an alternative product, to support them with that and not make them feel that, or the scaremongering that this is also as a risky product as smoking, when we know the data is there, we know the science supports that, we know that the quit rate of people that use vaping as a solution to move away from combustible cigarettes. But you have to support them, whether that's from NHS supplying these products, which we're now moving towards, having these products available in places like hospitals and things like that in their environment, supporting people as you would with any other addiction out of their current addiction, to find a suitable way to move them through that, and giving them the right information. I think one of the stats that I've seen in the UK is that 33% of the population still believe that vaping is more harmful than smoking, which is a travesty when the data support complete opposite. Public Health England have been very clear that it's 95% less harmful, and we're even now looking at studies that go beyond that. I think opening the accessibility, but still supporting that with regulation, compliance and innovation is critical. But having a seat at the table from the industry, whether that's with the UK VIA, whether that's with brand owners, at the table with the government, to try and take them on that journey that we've had 100 years of tobacco and cigarettes in the country, and those huge organisations having a presence in government and those things. We have to now bring that into from the vaping sector, and having, I think, even obviously Anne's been a Middle Eastern business, but the impact they're now starting to have in the UK with some of the conversations that they're driving, the UK VIA being part of those discussions, and trying to educate both the journalists, the politicians, and also ultimately is supporting the consumer that these products are ultimately a solution from combustible cigarettes, and championing the story again, what Mohammed said, that started with combustible cigarettes, heated tobacco, vaping, to now not using any nicotine products, and championing that mission to take the consumer away from nicotine completely. I think by opening those discussions, both with regulators, policymakers, government, journalists, and trying to have those discussions collectively, will ultimately allow the innovation from the exit perspective and also the product development. At the moment, we try and limit the product development to suit the narrative that's in the market. By opening that up to make the products be more accessible, more sustainable, will allow us to develop the innovation both on the exit from combustible cigarettes and also from products as well. And I think that's really the key from the UK side.
Yeah, no, you're right, and you touched on a subject there in relation to nicotine. For me, and I'm going to come to you in products now in a second, but for me, when you look at the industry over the past 15 years, you know, the focus from government and regulators has shifted. It has shifted from tobacco and smoking now to nicotine. You know, they had a battle going on, tobacco, smoking. Now it's a nicotine battle. Now it's not just smoking. You know, they've shifted their focus to nicotine. And you hit on it there, Chris, with, nicotine consumption, but they're more focused on nicotine now, which just brings vaping under that so they can attack it again and again. Just in relation to your own brands and the Indonesian market, where do you see products going to in relation to public health, or hopefully getting more smokers away from combustible cigarettes?
Yes, I want to share in terms of the local context, the Indonesian government nowadays is the annual budget is 10% is backed by the conventional tobacco industry. It's roughly around like $13 billion annually. It's coming from the excess tax from the big three tobacco company in Indonesia. While vaping is just recently contributed around like $60 million annually. It's completely different in terms of from the point of view of the government income from this kind of industry. But the things that we trying to advocate to our Indonesian government is about the risk profile in terms of the risk reduction. How the vaping business, even though we are still like contributing 60 million US dollar to the annual government budget annually, but the thing is about the impact that we contributed to the entire public health in terms of the risk profile, and also the how we can support in terms of the lowering the like a side effect of combustion of the tobacco consumption itself. And that's the first thing that currently we advocating to the Indonesian regulator in terms of how we can benefit from the vaping product to the public health in terms of in the bigger context. And then the second is about to make sure that we seeing about the in terms of the underage usage in terms of because the main reason of our Indonesian government is to protect that we call it like smoking prevalence, and then the number we want to make sure that we have Indonesian government to achieve the lower smoking prevalence ratio in the annual basis, and then how vaping can take a part to reducing that we helping our Indonesian government to achieve that the lowering of the smoking prevalence is to make sure that we are having the retail responsibility, that we are not selling to the like 17 below 17 years old smoker or consumer, and then we only sell our product to the someone that officially can use and buy our product itself in Indonesia, because those kind of issue that might be impacted the whole vaping industry in Indonesia regarding the total industry landscape in Indonesia itself. I'm seeing that those two is the main issue that currently we are facing in Indonesia.
Okay, thank you for that. I suppose this brings me on to the next point and relate. Obviously, we're talking about product innovation and product development. When we look at the 95% less harmful, that's around since 2016. I suppose my question is, and I think about this a lot, is that if it was 95% less harmful a couple of years ago, what do we need to do to get that number higher? I see us doing product innovation, as we know, new technology, but for me, do we need to look at the liquid compound? Do we need to look at liquid innovation? Because for me, sometimes I think the liquid or the liquid we're vaping is just sort of the same liquid that we've had for the past couple of years. And I've always had a feeling that, can we get that number, can we get that 95 higher? Because I think we should be able to. Okay, I'm not going to get it to 100, but I think we should. And Mohammed, I suppose coming to you is that, do you think there's too much emphasis on product innovation and liquid is just sort of, a liquid is there, it's fine, it's grand, it's fine. Do you think we need to step that up as well?
I think a liquid is part of the product itself, but I think that not only the development should happen in the manufacturer side by itself, but the development needs to happen also from the research facilities and the medical facilities, and bringing in more scientific evidence-based that can take that product and analyze it and know exactly where are we getting these 5% or 7% of still HPHC is coming compared to conventional cigarette. And you said we cannot bring that product 100% risk-free. Why not? Why not? If 20 years back, there were no solution for the smoker, either to use a nicotine patch or a nicotine gum. And these were not accepted because such NRTs have succeeded in switching less than 7% internationally from smoking to these products. But the liquid is a big part, but also the whole mechanism needs to be adjusted according to clinical trials provided by the medical bodies. And without the government and the regulator space, companies will not be able to spend more money on developing their products. Research facilities will not be able to make more money by bringing in more industry players. Because I'll give you a quick example. If you go to Jordan again, so nobody will get sensitive about it, I'm from Jordan, you can buy a pack of cigarette at around, the average price is around $4. But in order to buy 500 puff disposable, it's $15. So it's almost 5 times to buy a disposable e-cigarette. So you will find that there is a lot of companies that bring in products that does not reach out to the compliant level, and products that is illicit because they are non-compliant, so it's easier. So you can sell a disposable vape, 5,000 puffs, the lousiest quality, at around $4. So you have two choices. Go to the illicit market or buy a pack of cigarettes. So how can you develop products if the companies does not have the space? So what I think is it's a collaborative effort. Again, medical society, research, media, regulators, health, and the elephant in the room. They have to be part of it. They have to discuss. And they can disagree. And they can challenge. All of this will bring in more money, more investors, more commercial operations, but it will bring more products. And maybe we'll remind you about this, that we will bring in a product that's 100% recyclable and maybe 100% risk-free. Why not?
Yeah, and hopefully we get there someday. I suppose, Chris, same question to you. If you look at where we've come in innovation of products, do you think liquids needs to catch up a little bit, or maybe a combination of both?
I think there's two parts of that. There's liquids in the form that we know, which is a bottle of liquid. But obviously there is also, this liquid is now in a closed pod system, a disposable product. I think the growth of the category over the last 2 years has probably prohibited that because everybody's chased the curve. And understandable why everybody wants to be on that growth path. I think now people should step back and look at how we then develop. There is a company in the UK who have developed a 10 ml liquid product that they have had, they were able to say it's 98.9% less harmful. But that claim and that ability to state that was lost because that wasn't the news. The news was all about the growth of the category. It's about trying to invite the conversation about how we improve further the just overall quality and compliance of these products. I think if you look, the biggest example over the last 6 months has been the overfilling scandal in the UK, which caused huge negative press about the category and probably set the category back a little bit in terms of, oh, well, is everybody at these types of activities, which puts a cloud over the sector. But actually what that created was what we're classing as the compliance age now. What it highlighted was some support that the MHRA needed because brands were able to self-declare, this product meet your standard. What we done as a business and to support our retail partners, we service a lot of the big grocers in the UK, was developed a pre and post-market testing program that we got every retailer to buy into, that if a brand wants to come into our market, before they can sell a product, it has to go through, we're not interested in self-declaration of compliance. We want to see independent testing both on nicotine fill level, nicotine strength, heavy metals, all of these things that should be robustly tested have to go through that by an independent facility in the UK. And those results, that what we've chose to do is give those results to the MHRA trading standards and our retail partners. What we've seen over the next 6 months is just the improvement in compliance from these brands, and we're still not there. It's still going to be developing over the next probably 6 to 12 months. But what we're forcing is that compliance era of the business. And going back to the point I made earlier, if we self-police and self-regulate so we don't have to have that focus put on, it allows us the ability to focus on getting to 100%, improving the quality of the product, sustainability, focusing on youth access. And I think that for any market, that in-market, pre- and post-market testing is critical to drive the category forward. And we've seen huge traction. And this isn't about a commercial interest for the retailers, for the brands, or for companies like ourselves. We're actively sharing these results with our competitors because, again, going back to the point of collective responsibility, if we all are working to the same standard, the same metrics, the same level of compliance, the industry negativity around the products that are on market evaporate, and we focus then on the innovation and the improving, going from 95 to 98 to 100. And that's ultimately the aim for us, to make the safest product on the market to support that switch.
Very good. Tege, I suppose in your opinion from your own company in relation, now again, the same question, probably just a different stand. Do you see us getting to a higher number than 95% less harmful? What's your view on that? And do you think that we need to do more maybe on the liquid side of things?
Yes. the current situation is in Indonesia is the regulation is still just developed in terms of because the growth of the industry versus with the regulation that already in place is something that currently is the regulation is not available yet. But in terms of the responsibility from the manufacturer or the brand owner, it's something that we need to emphasize because we want to protect the whole industry. Otherwise, if we don't play responsibility as the heart of our DNA in the operations level or in the product innovation itself, it's something that might be impacted the whole industry in Indonesia, especially while the tobacco combustible tobacco industry is still dominated like 98% of the total smoking businesses in Indonesia itself. It's something that currently we address is something we find a better alternative in terms of from the supply side, because the innovation could be from the extraction of the salt nicotine itself, because we have so many like tobacco leaf plantation in Indonesia, and then how we can create not only from directly sourcing from the farmer, so we can create like a local value creation to the tobacco farmer in Indonesia, as well as find the better alternative for to addressing like a zero nicotine type of product innovation itself. Those things that currently as a local brand that currently we are doing in terms of the how we can create like a more responsible product in terms of innovation point of view.
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, I think we all agree we have a lot of work to do. The industry has a lot of work to do, a lot of, I suppose, self-cleaning, self-regulating, you know, as I say at home to other vape shops, you know, we need to do things right, especially in Ireland. I'd love if I was in the UK. I think you're the most progressive country in the world when it comes to vaping. Thankfully, somebody is taking the lead. Our government, no, they don't even mention vaping, you know. They have this disposable consultation, and they said we need to tell people about the dangers of vaping. That was it, full stop. I understand the dangers of vaping to non-smokers and young people, but there's benefits to it as well. And as I said, hopefully we're here in a few years, and hopefully we are at 100% risk-free. Maybe we will. Thanks, folks. That's the end of the session. That was product development and innovation. I was joined by Mohammed, the Senior Director of ANS, Chris Kelly, Director and Founder of Phoenix to Retail, and Tegu, the co-owner of Fume Labs. Thanks very much, folks.